Assalamu alaikum. This is me, your English instructor, Muhammad Hasnain, once again with all of you people. Today we are going to be doing one of the most informative, funny, infotainment or full of energy topics, that is going to be modal verbs, and we are specifically going to be doing features of should versus ought to. Now lots of people make this mistake. They don't even know what is ought to. Those people are just... When I watch to people who don't even know, even my sister didn't know that what is ought to, and until I was in my academy, I didn't know what is ought to. I personally didn't know. I used to speak good English, but I wasn't in my academy. I didn't know what is ought to. It is a big problem, and when nowadays I look at those people, my brain becomes like this. Ooh, I get brain hurt. My brain gets hurt when I think that people don't even know what is ought to. This is a big mistake that people make. Now, what is should and what is ought to? First of all, let's talk about should. Should, one of the most used modal verbs among all of them is should. Should is one of the modal verbs that has been used for multiple purposes. For example, it is not used for permissions. Yes, you can say you should go there. You should. So you're like saying, for example, you're giving orders. You should drink a cup of coffee. No. You should help me. Now this is the order. This is not request. Can you help me? Now this is a request. Abilities. I should be able to do this. It doesn't make sense. Possibilities. He should be in a traffic jam. There is cases. There are scenarios, exceptional cases. There are different small cases, exceptional cases, different cases that come inside of it that you people will understand easily. So he should come on time. He should be in a traffic jam because he's so late. First of all, permissions. No obligations. You should go to school. Yes. Should is more powerful than ought to. Should is the must among ought to and should. Like among ought to and should is like the must. He is very powerful, but ought to is smart. And should is like and ought to is smart. Like me. Just joking, jokes apart. Prohibition. You should not go to my room. You should not scratch my car. You should not put a dent on my car. You should stay away from me. You should stay away from my stuff. You should stay away from my room. Prohibitions. Yes. Now possibilities. He should be late. He might be late. Or he should be late. Due to the time he has spent coming. He should be late. He should be here. Possibilities. He should be in the party. He should be here. He should be. This was one of the sentences that was used in the ancient British. It is used for nowadays. We say he must be in the party or he might be at the party. He must be at the party. Maybe. He must be. He must be stuck, etc. Nowadays we say must and might. In the past eras, in the British eras, they used to say he should be there. Should is very easy. You people know what is should up to this point. I know you people very well. Should is pretty easy. Now what is ought to? Ought to, one of the most underrated, one of the most bad kind of modal verbs that people think. Because nobody uses it. बेचारे पे कोई रहम नहीं खाता. बेचारे को कोई देखता भी नहीं है. बस साल दर साल बस सिर्फ ये टीचर ही होते हैं जो कि इसको दोहरा लेते हैं. बाकी इस बेचारे की अपनी जिंदगी जो है कुछ नहीं है. भाई ना तो इसका कोई पूछता है, ना तो इसका कोई बोलता है, ना तो किसी को तो ये भी नहीं पता कि शुड वर्सेस ought to. किसी को तो ये भी नहीं पता कि ought to नाम का कोई मॉडल वर्ब है कि नहीं. इसको तो कुछ पूछता भी नहीं है मॉडल वर्ब के अंदर. भाई बेचारा. So ought to is that problem that nobody knows about. Like ought to, lots of people don't know about it. So actually ought to is the modal verb of need. Need is a verb and ought to is the modal verb. So for example, if you need big muscles, you ought to go to gym. You ought to gym. You need gym. Or you need to go to gym. You ought to go to gym. You need to go to gym. But it is actually a modal verb. It is not a verb as need is. So this is the modal verb version of need. Simple. You ought to not smoke. You need to not smoke. You ought to go to school. You need to go to school. You ought to eat your breakfast. You need to eat your breakfast, but it is not as powerful as should. It is the smart one. It is not powerful. Permission. You ought to go to school. You should go to school, or you need to go to school. Same thing here. You ought to go to school. You need to go to school. It isn't actually a permission. It is a thing that you have to accept, order, obligation. You ought to go to school. You need to go to school. You ought to go to academy. You need to go to academy. You ought to deliver your best. You need to deliver your best. You ought to pass. You need to pass. You ought to drink. You need to drink milk. You ought to drink milk. You ought to draw your favorite character. You need to draw your favorite character. You ought a therapist. You ought to go to a therapist. You need to go to the therapist or to the therapist. Prohibitions. You ought to never go to my room. You need to never go to my room. But prohibitions, no. It is not used for prohibitions. Who will say that you need to not to go to my room? You need to not to go to Islamabad. You need to not to go to take vacations. You need to not take vacations. Now this is a different one. You ought to take no vacations. You need to take no vacations. But still, we don't use it for some cases. We use it in some cases. He need to be here. He ought to be here. He has to be here. He ought to be here. He needs to be here. Now this is a possibility. I ought to swim. I need to swim. Now this is a thing you want. It is not your abilities currently. Offers. You ought to go with me. You need to go with me. Request. You ought to be with me. You need to be with me. You ought to never leave me alone. You need to never leave me alone because I'm a psycho. This is what movies, like lots of movies. I was with my parents. They told me that's it. They were watching a very old movie of some time, and there was a lady who was saying, or otherwise you need to stay with me forever, or otherwise I will become mad to her sister or something. So in English we will say, you ought to stay with me or I'll become a psycho. Simple. Now offers. You ought to drink water. You need to drink water. Do you ought to drink water? Do you ought to go to school? Do you ought to drink coffee? Do you ought to go with me? Do you need to go with me? Do you need a cup of coffee? Do you ought to go? Do you ought a cup of coffee? Do you ought to drink a cup of coffee? We will use it in such a way. For example, last examples. I'm not going to make more examples. You ought to drive a car. You need to drive a car. Simple. So I hope you people understood our today's topic. It was a bit long. It wasn't as complex as I made it. It was very easy, but I just made it a bit more long so that you people can understand better. So I hope you people understood, and in the next video we are going to be talking about another topic. Thank you so much for being with us. This is all, and Allah Hafiz.